Oh my goodness, guys. You don't have to believe what the guy says, but he definitely moves the market. Pump, baby, pump. What a pump. From the start of Monday, it was basically heading, as you can see, into a huge meteoric rise. Look, the rise of the stock market once again. This could be just a short pump, but still it is pumping. If you were trading yesterday, you would have seen Palantir just kept rallying like there was no tomorrow. There are obviously lots of resistance, and most of these are still trading within a downward trend. But currently, guys, it's pumping. There's like a mini pump, baby pump situation going on. So that's the SPY, as you can see from Monday. It's just been rising, stepping up. And it looks as though we're heading in today with the same situation here. So this black zone that you see, these are regular trading hours when the New York Stock Exchange opens from 9:30 New York time to 4 p.m. New York time. That's when that session opens. Then you've got the blue part, which is the post. Then you've got this golden part, which is the Asian hour. The post after hours trading is the blue, and then you've got the pre-market trading, and then you'll go back into regular hours. But as you can see, it hit the tip there, and it's obviously starting to build momentum. So there was a initial rally yesterday, which was like a huge major rally yesterday. The VIX was really pretty much down, and it's rallied into pre-market, hitting the top. And obviously in pre-market hours, it's having a pullback to hopefully carry on with this pump, baby, pump green day today for Friday to end the week. Maybe this will continue for Monday. It depends if it reaches the ultimate top for SPY, because as I say, everything is still in a downward trend. If you were to draw a trend line from here, you can see that SPY is still in this downward trend. So it really needs to break the at least 550 to, continue its journey. Let's have a look at some others. Palantir was a great runner yesterday. Look at Palantir go. It was just non-stop. It started the day with this huge green candle. Look at that boom candle, guys. Look at that. And then it had a slight pullback, but then it just carried on all through until the end of the day. And it's obviously carried through into after hours, peaked at pre-market, and it's doing the same as what SPY's doing. So across the board yesterday has been like a pump, baby, pump situation. It doesn't really matter what this guy says. The market, he moves markets, guys, just like a murmur, and the market just moves. So whether he says, he's talking, deals and, deals are on the table, it doesn't matter. People are just like, they need that certainty, whether it's true or false. Whatever comes out, it moves the market, guys. So, follow the action, just like you do with price action. Just follow the action. See where it takes you. That's NVIDIA. Tesla was also crazy. It had its earnings, and it just carried on rallying from its earnings. Look at this. Just madness. Everything's just pumping at the moment. SMCI is also on a major uptrend at the moment. Everything's rallying, guys. Let's have a look at Amazon. Across the board, guys, it's all going. QQQ and SPY are quite similar. So everything's in the uptrend, guys. I don't really know what to say. It looks as though we could carry on. And here's the VIX. So you can see as the VIX drops, the whole of yesterday's session, the VIX is dropping. So as the VIX drops, that's volatility decreasing, then the SPY has the chance to, climb. And it looks as though we're going to be following the trend. The VIX looks like it's still in a downtrend. If I bring this, you can see if you draw a trend line, just bring my cross arrows back up, crosshairs back up again. If you draw a trend line from top to bottom, you can see the VIX is following that trend line down. So it looks as though we could be in for another pump baby pump green day today, guys. So like I said yesterday, if you were trading Palantir and you caught it at the start of the day at $100, you would have been up quite a lot because it ran all the way up to at least 108. But yeah, it ran up from 100 to 108. So it literally went beyond its measured move by $1. Normally, Palantir runs about the same as Nvidia, about $7 to $8 a day. So that is just humongous. That would have been a crazy, if you bought calls in at the start of the day and just held it until the end of the day and you were in the money or at the money, well, you'd be like sitting with a bag full of money. It looks as though the resurrection has come to the charts. That's what it looks like. So hence this video, why it's pump baby pump. We'll see if we get another green day today and into Monday. So how I tend to do this is I tend to plot out the day's candle. So on the daily chart here, on the daily time frame, you can see there is a W pattern forming, which is very bullish, means it's still going to go. And it has all this upside with Palantir to go. So I'll just chart you Palantir so you can see how to play this. So here's the W pattern, which is very bullish. So it's following that pattern. That's the one pattern you can see. And it's also breaking out of this downward trend. So it's obviously broken out of this downward trend. So if I put all my drawings back on, you can see what I'm on about. So there, you can see in this channel here, you can see in this channel, we are breaking out, and it has broken out with 2 green candles. So it started on Tuesday to make its move, and then by Tuesday to Wednesday, there was a gap up. You can see here, there was a gap up. And this gap up, normally they say gap and go, and it really did. On Monday, it broke through. On Tuesday, it gapped up and it just went yesterday. That was the huge, huge gains you would have got on Palantir had you like realized that there was a pump baby pump situation going on. So as I've marked up my charts, you can see that we have Palantir has broken out of the downward trend. And there is a fair value gap here, this orange box. There is a fair value gap here to be filled. Okay, so that needs to be filled at some point, and it's heading into that fair value gap at the moment. So what I tend to do is, there is a box theory that you can follow, which makes trading a lot easier. So on Monday, these yellow boxes are the box theory. So on Monday, this green candle here that printed, sorry, on Tuesday, this green candle here that printed, I boxed it out ready for Wednesday's trade. So on Wednesday, you can see that it gapped up. So I boxed this for yesterday's trade. So this yellow box here, I boxed it in for Wednesday's trade. And how it normally works is when you put it onto a 5-minute, normally you box it on the day, so you get a situation of, you know, if you don't know what the range is for a particular stock, if you just block off the day, it will give you pretty much, you know, an indication of how far it can move in a day. But like I said, yesterday was like a huge, huge green day. I hope you like the the thumbnail, because this is what Trump is hugging. This huge green day, this huge green boom boom candle for Palantir yesterday. So Palantir did a whopping 100 all the way up to 108. That's just like tremendous for, because normally Palantir moves about $7 here. The ATR, guys, if you can see, it's about $7.50. But it actually went above and beyond. It went all the way straight up to $108. So it did $8 straight in one full stretch without really any major pullbacks. So today, there's nothing really in the way for it to carry on and fill out this, hit this fair value gap and possibly go higher if the bulls are still there. So we'll wait and see as it approaches today's regular trading session to see what candles are given to us. But you can see at this point, sellers are here. So it could be a case that there could be a lot of resistance, because if you look left, guys, you see all these red candles. Well, this is the place where sellers are sat between 125 to 108. So they're all sat here. If they're still here, then there could be, some selling pressure. But if they're not here, or there's if the bulls, all the buyers are in the market are going to push it, there's more of them than the sellers, then we could push up to 120 and a bit higher. But like I said, there's a measured move within a day. So it's about $7.50 a day it can move. So at the moment, we're starting at 108 as we enter regular trading hours. So I box everything in for the day. As you can see, I've boxed in yesterday, Thursday's trading action in the blue box, just to make it a little bit different. But we can change this back to the regular yellow box, so then we're pretty much consistent. So now if I move down to a 5-minute chart, guys, I'll show you what will happen, what's going to happen. So in the 5-minute chart, I'll just show you yesterday's move so you understand the box theory. So on Tuesday, this bottom yellow box here, that was the start. It was at about $90, $91, and it shot up to 96, making that the peak. So between 91 to 96 was the box move for Tuesday's Palantir. Normally I put in a mid-level, because it can hit this mid-level and just bounce around or just crash down to the other end. But normally it will just run out of steam. So it came back to the mid-level and just bounced around until after hours, when the market just took over. And after hours just took it straight through the fair value gap here. So there's lots of buyers in this fair value gap, as you can see. And those buyers carried on into pre-market. And that was basically the gap up from Tuesday to Wednesday. So from this post-market to pre-market, it gapped up to at least $97 at the start of Wednesday. And on Wednesday, it just basically, again, carried on pumping up to $103, and then fell back down to the mid-range of that day and just hovered around there until the after hours, where it kind of, lost its momentum a little bit. And then in pre-market, it pumped back up again. And literally that led to yesterday's crazy pump from Palantir. So as you can see, when you draw out these boxes, you have an idea of kind of, firstly, when you're trading stocks, you need to understand a few things. You need to understand which way are you going. Are you heading north, or are you heading south, or are you just standing still? These are the 3 questions you need to ask so that you can place your trades, whether you place calls or you place puts, or, you do these wonderful range options such as, iron condors, which means it's basically you're waiting for the stock to range and it's not going to break out of there. Or you're scalping and you need to scalp knowing coming in, are you going to be heading up or downwards? So it's a pretty good indication with this box theory. So as you box everything out for the previous day and the start of the day, Well, you can see that at the start of Wednesday, it started in regular hours to move up, and then it kind of like made its move down to the bottom of this box, and then it started to move back up. So by the time we hit Thursday, we're in a situation where we already know in pre-market it was at the bottom of the box. So if push comes to shove, if something is at the bottom, well, it's only got to go up unless there's some crazy black swan or catalyst that's going to send the stock market crashing, such as, you know, outside events which you can't control, like, you know, say if there was World War III or something like this, then at this point it could have tanked, but it didn't. Nothing like that happened. So if you're at the bottom of the box, then there's only one way, which is up. So knowing that in pre-market you were at the bottom and we're trending up, then you can come to pretty much a conclusion that as you're entering into regular hours, you're heading up to the other end. So you're down south, you're moving up north. So that's what happened. So as it came into regular trading hours here yesterday at Thursday 24th of April at 9:30, this green candle signaled the move. When you see a huge green candle like this, guys, that can sometimes be a news event, but normally news events don't really happen straight at the start of, you know, doesn't normally start, you know, right at the beginning of the day. It normally kind of like is in midday to catch people out, or at the end of the day, you know, towards the evening, where you can then ride it, you know, for the following day if the news is still trending. So this huge green candle at the start of the day is signaling to you that we're in a meteoric rise, or there's lots of buyers at this point, a huge bunch of buyers that's creating this big green candle. Look at that. So had you, you know, like I said, if I put on my indicators, I trade with, hang on a second, let me just clear the ATR a second. So let's start again. So you're starting pre-market at the bottom of this yellow box, as you've already marked it out the day on Wednesday. So you're starting at the bottom of this box, okay, in pre-market. And it's trending. It's above VWAP, so that's a good thing. So it's still trending above VWAP as it's coming into yesterday's regular trading hours, which is this black region here. It presented you with a huge green candle. And the 9 EMA, this yellow moving average, is still above the 21, this pink moving average. So we're still in the green. Everything is still going. And there's a massive green boom boom candle to open the day. So knowing this, you would have placed your call at 100. And if you were wrong, you can just jump out of it. But getting in early like this is pretty much indication to you that you are trending in the right direction because of your moving averages and your VWAPs. So had you bought in at 100 and you just kept watching this stay above VWAP, and even though there's, you know, some niggly bits here where it's kind of like consolidating, well, you know that you're starting already, you're hitting, you know, the top of yesterday's close. However, this next green bar has just closed above yesterday's box. So seeing this, there's no reason for you to jump out of this market. You're still going up, so follow it, keep going. And then another way to keep you in the trend, keep you in this trade as it's trending, is you're still above VWAP. So even though there's some messy bits here, that's just consolidation to get more liquid, to get more liquidity. There are more buyers and stop losses here. So it's obviously grabbing all of this liquidity to keep going. So follow VWAP, and obviously I drew a trend line at this point. This green line is my trend line. And everything is still showing you it's uptrending, especially you're above VWAP. So keep going, keep your trade open. And you can see literally it trended all the way until the end of the day. So by 3 o'clock here, you had a slight pullback. So there are some times to watch out for, guys, in the New York Stock Exchange when you're trending. It's basically the start of the first hour and then the last hour. It's basically your first hour is called your power hour and your last hour is your power hour. So if there's anything that's going to happen, it will be in the first hour and the last hour. So as you can see by 3 o'clock, because stock market closes at 4. So by 3 o'clock, you can see it's starting to have a slight pullback. So you could have guessed by then. And also the fact that if you follow all these moving averages and the VWAP, you can see the further you get away from this white line, this white VWAP line, the further you move away from that, at some point it's going to try to recover and come back to it. So you can already know, you already have a few indications here, which is you have moved to the point where it's almost 3 o'clock. So you are going to be hitting the peak. That's one indication. The second indication is that you can see it's moved so far from VWAP that about 3 o'clock, it's going to tank at some point. There's going to be a pullback, whether it's a major pullback to this green trend line or just a short pullback. And then it's either going to dump within this last hour or it's going to pump. So there was a slight pullback because momentum, like yesterday I said, guys, it was pump, baby, pump. There was a slight pullback and then it just carried on pumping again till the end of the day where you hit 108. And even the momentum is carried through all the way in after hours. So in after hours, it's gone all the way up to $109, $110. So that's just the power of, you know, one person's kind of, whatever it is they say, it has an impact. That's all you need to know. Just follow where it takes you. You don't need to believe what they say. Just follow the, you know, the impact that it has. So that price action yesterday, had you caught it, like I said, from 100 to 108, you wouldn't need to trade today. You could literally have today off. I mean, if you traded like 10 contracts yesterday, you'd probably be done for the month. So this is the power of, you know, this box theory. So like I said, I've boxed in yesterday's price action. So yesterday's price action ended at $108, okay? And like I said, in after hours, this blue box, it still had momentum to keep going. And look how high it is above VWAP. However, like I said, everything that goes up at some point must come down. So in after hours, it's reached its peak at 110. And Palantir does have the same or similar range as Nvidia, which is about $6 to $7. And it's obviously like the momentum pump, baby pump, is there for a reason. It's taken it almost to 110. It's gone over by almost $3. And it's given that back. So where it's gone over by $3, it's obviously now dropped by $7. So the measured move is really good. Once you understand the measured move, like the power of a stock to move in one day, you pretty much know if it goes full on, how much it needs to give back. So it's obviously gone full on about $3 over, and in pre-market it's hit the top, and now it's given about $3 back, and it's dropped to 107, and it's below VWAP. So let's move on. What is happening now? So like I said, I've boxed out yesterday's action, and this top of this yellow box is yesterday's action. So in pre-market, it's hit the top and it's dropping. It's below VWAP, and it's sitting below VWAP, looking like it's wanting to maybe re-enter this box, yesterday's box. So we'll watch this carefully. I'm on the 5 minute, and I can see right now that we are way above yesterday's price box theory. We've headed to, you know, the top of the yesterday's box, and it's bouncing. So you can see that there is some kind of support along here at the moment. The top of this yesterday's box is showing some kind of support. There are some buyers around about 107, 108 that's keeping this up. If I go down to the 1 minute, which gives you a clearer indication as to like minute by minute candles. you can see very much clearly that it is below VWAP and it's giving up most of its momentum now. So as we're heading into regular trading hours, I've got my 9:30 and 9 o'clock candles ready. If at some point within the first, before 9 o'clock or just after 9 o'clock, heading to 9:30 in regular hours, this situation changes and it breaks above VWAP, then that $3 move that it gave back in pre-market hours here from 110 down to 107 is just a pullback, and it's going to break above VWAP and keep going up for the day. If that's the case, then you know pretty much by 9:30, depending on where the 9 and 21 EMA sits, if it's gone above VWAP, for you to play another you know, bullish trade, upward trend, pump baby pump for Palantir for the rest of Friday, or it's just really going to give up all the gains and like just tank on Friday. But you'll see by the time 9:30 hits what happens. So follow the price action for that, guys. And the same for Nvidia. If I go to the 5-minute chart for Nvidia, the same is happening here. So I've boxed Nvidia out in blue just to make it a little bit different. So with Nvidia, guys, if I go to the 1 hour, okay, there's a lot of lines on my charts because I'm trading Nvidia at the moment. So you can see the huge red lines that I've got on here. That is showing you the trend for Nvidia. It's been trending downwards since the start of this year in February. Nvidia's just been trending downwards, and it's continuing its trending downwards during the start of April. So this first yellow channel shows that Nvidia was trending downwards in this channel here until we hit basically April. Mid-April, it started to have a push upwards, a small, you know, pump here. So I drew in another channel to show that Nvidia was, you know, trading upwards, just like it did here. It went up and then back down and it followed the channel. But literally at this point, when I drew this channel for it to go up, Nvidia hit the peak here at 104, and it couldn't break above this downward trend, this downward channel here, and it fell all the way back down during, you know, the 1 hour trading session on my 1 hour chart. So literally Nvidia was trying to break through this downward channel, and it finally did it yesterday after the trading hour had finished. So on Wednesday, it was chopping around back and forth, and you can see it was trying to like break out of this channel here, this downward channel. And then how come this is hang on a second, guys. Oh right, okay. So Wednesday, it was trying its best to break out of this downward channel here, this yellow trend line going down. There was a downward channel here. So Nvidia was hitting it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. And then on the 6th time, it gave up and it fell back down into, you know, the bottom range of its box, which is boxed out in blue for the day. So on the 1 hour chart in post-market, after hours trading, it basically gave up until pre-market it gave up. Then at around about 5 a.m. on Thursday pre-market, there was a move. There were buyers sat at this fair value gap that I've got marked in this orange box. So normally I tend to mark out the midpoints of any box that I draw, because there is a good possibility that if it doesn't go to the bottom of these boxes, it will go midway. So it literally hit the bottom of this upward channel. So there are buyers sat around $100. They obviously feel Nvidia is a good price point there. So they bought the market all the way up on pre-market for Thursday. So Thursday's pre-market action was very, very bullish, and it purchased all the way up until it broke through finally this downward channel, and it broke through at 8 o'clock in the morning Thursday pre-market trading hours, and it continued until 9 o'clock on Thursday to pump. And then that is the point where if you go to the 5-minute, you can see your entry point ready for Thursday. So this was the pump from Thursday's pre-market price action here. So literally at this point, you could see that it broken out of this downward channel. This yellow line here was breaking out of it. It retested it, and it continued to move up and up for the rest of the day on Thursday, which is highlighted in this pale blue box. So had you yesterday also got into calls for Nvidia like Palantir, you would have made great gains, because you would have jumped in at 103 and jumped out at 105, and you just, all you needed to do is just keep following this trade. So long as it stayed above VWAP for the entire day, you just hold on to your trade. And if I move across, you can see the trade lasted, the trade lasted literally from 103 all the way up to 106. So like I said, Palantir and Nvidia move about $6 to $7. So had you got in here at 103, you would have taken that all the way up to 106. And I think Palantir was a stronger move yesterday, because it went like beyond its normal measured, kind of range of $8. It went all the way to 110, but Nvidia only kind of basically did half of its move. So it went from 103 to 106, which is still a damn good move. Had you done more than one contract and you took calls in the money or at the money, you would have like made bank. And literally you wouldn't need to trade today. I think you would have like just taken a day off today. And the same goes for Nvidia as for Palantir. In the stock market, you've got the power hour at the start of the day, and you've got the power hour at the end of the day. So here's 3 o'clock, the power hour session at the end from 3 to 4. It did basically the same thing as Palantir. It hit its peak, and then it started to like tank. Well, not tank, but pull back. And it gave back about $1 of its earnings. So you can say a third. So it ran up from 3 to 6, and then it gave back $1. Just to continue up the entire after hours session. So after hours, it continued all the way up until the start of pre-market, where it obviously has maxed out now. It's gone to 108, so it's maxed out. And again, like Palantir, it's hitting, as you can see. Can you see my channel here between this yellow bottom line and this is my upward channel for Nvidia. So Nvidia is basically hitting, and this red trend line down is also a trend line that's kind of resistance that it needs to break today. So it's obviously like hit that resistance. These are all the confluences that you need for trading, guys. So the channel gives you an indication of whereabouts you are and how high the stock can go. So from yesterday, it's literally gone from 103 to after hours and pre-market to 108, where it's peaked out at the top of this upward trend channel, and it's hitting resistance, red resistance downward trend line here. And it started to make its way back down again, giving, from 108 back to 105, giving back $2. And we're in the same situation, but obviously with Palantir, there's no upper resistance. But with NVIDIA, there is this upper channel that it's still trading within. So literally, these white lines that I've marked out are the first power hour and the last power hour. So in the first power hour, it could have resistance at 109. And in the last power hour, it could have resistance about 110, 111. But then these two red downward trending lines, which go back on the day chart and the 4-hour chart, it will need to break through these resistance lines as well as it's trending upwards. So bear these things in mind. And this orange box here, guys, is also a fair value gap. So there are a few things for NVIDIA to break through for it to, go any higher on this green pump day, should it decide to keep going. So the same with Palantir. We will go onto the 1-minute chart and we will see what happens when it hits basically 9 o'clock. So 9 o'clock is around about here. So when it reaches 9 o'clock, we'll see if it has the propensity to keep going and break through VWAP, or it's just going to downtrend for the day and maybe downtrend to the mid blue box. So yesterday's price action is this blue box here, this light blue, aqua blue box here. And the mid, it's worked out perfectly that Wednesday's deeper blue box is basically the midline for today's range. So it could be that if it stays below VWAP and it doesn't want to go above it, then it could go as low as this midpoint for today's price action, which is around about $104. But you can see, even though it's kind of consolidating, it's on an upward trend here. So if I show you this, you can pretty much mark this in to show you that it's trying to break through. But obviously, if it breaks through this mini trend line that I've drawn here, then you can say that NVIDIA isn't really going to try and, move upwards for today. And it could still, give back some of its gains from yesterday. So I'll draw this temporary upward trend line here to see how NVIDIA does as it's entering regular market hours, regular trading hours. If for some reason it just keeps going higher, 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 it doesn't break through this trend line. This is why there's a multitude of things that you need to keep on your charts, especially if you can draw trend lines. It gives you an idea quickly if it's going to break that trend. I mean, the other thing that NVIDIA could do as it's entering regular trading hours is it either shoots up or shoots down and then just starts to consolidate. So there are a few things to be aware of. It could break through VWAP on entering this power hour here and then just trade sideways because, it has no more oomph left in it, because obviously everybody made their money yesterday. Nobody's trading today. Or it could just, completely just have a day off and come into power hour trading downwards below VWAP and just break through this mini trend line that I've drawn and just keep heading downwards to the midpoint of yesterday's price action, which is along this blue line at 104. So these are, or it could just either go up or go down and then just trade, bouncing along the top part of yesterday's, upper part of yesterday's box, yesterday's top range. And it could just range bound here for the weekend and then decide what it wants to do on Monday. So anyways, guys, that's Palantir and NVIDIA. And if you look at Tesla, it's all doing the same thing. They're all entering in the same situation. They've all had their run up. They've all hit, the peak, and they're all coming in with either exhaustion or just ready to roar again for today. So just keep an eye out on that, guys. And that's normally how I trade. Those are, a lot of tips for you to follow. If you want any more tips, follow my videos for more price action and, some more good setups. But you should test out the box theory. I think the next video I'll do is testing out best entry points versus the orb theory, because I think the box theory and using moving averages gives you a better, you know, price point to get in than waiting for the orb, whether it's a 5-minute or the 15-minute. So if you like that, guys, follow for more. You know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe, and yeah, give me a thumbs up and make some comments, guys, whatever stocks you want me to have a look at. Okay, have a great weekend, guys. Hope you gained all the gains through this baby pump yesterday. And if everyone, you know, is still happy to carry on today, we may have another green day. So keep an eye on this 9 o'clock to 9:30 power hour and see what happens. Okay, have a great one, guys.